to Storm Reads, and today I'm going to do my weekly wrap up and talk about the books that I read during the 18th to the 24th. I read and listened to 11 books. Most of them were audiobooks. I listened to 8 books, I read 2 ebooks, and I had finished a print book. And so that was quite a bit, and I'm really impressed with myself. I really didn't think that I had accomplished that many books until I started looking them up for the ones that I was going to put in this wrap up, and I was like, wow. So we're going to start with a DNF and then go from my lowest rated to the 4-star reads that I had. There was quite a few of those, but I just thought I'd get the negative stuff out of the way first. And so I'm going to talk about The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. Yes, I DNF'd this one. I'm really bummed about it too, because this was one of my most anticipated reads, and I was really excited about it. I really liked a couple of other books that I've read by him. I don't know if it's the fact that I listened to them and I actually read this one as an ebook, that maybe it was just more enjoyable for me whenever I listened to them. But I just found myself very bored with this one, and the characters, the unreliable narrator. I could not stand Lynette. She drove me crazy. She was just really whacked out crazy and weird. And I mean, I understand, I guess, where she's coming from, because she's a final girl, and so she had some crazy person chasing after her. But still, she was just so over the top. And even the other girls in the support group, I didn't like any of them. They were just really rude and mean, and just, I don't know, they were all over the place. And that's just not enjoyable to me. I just couldn't really get into it, and I was forcing myself to try to read it, and I just didn't want to. And I just closed it the other day, and I was like, you know what, I am not enjoying this ebook, and so I'm just quitting. And so I quit at 41%. So I mean, I gave it a good try. For a horror thriller, there was nothing horrific or thrilling through that whole 41%. Nothing really happened. And it was just, I mean, there were some revelations and things, some things that I already guessed that I knew was going to happen, but it just, you know, I wasn't enjoying it. I enjoyed this next book a tiny bit more than I was enjoying that one, and that says something, because it took me forever. And so I'm sure you guys are glad to get rid of this one. I will not have to hold this one up anymore. But I finished Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo, which is the second book in the Shadow and Bone series. And I am so happy that I'm finished with it. I actually, the last section of it, I tabbed it out so that I would read just a little bit each day until I had to have it finished, because me and my friend, we were buddy reading this, and we were going to post it on our blogs on the same day. We call our post 2 bloggers 1 series, or 2 bloggers in 1 book, depending on what we're doing. And we both read the same book and then give our opinions and see if they're anywhere close to the same. She liked this one a little bit more than I did. But nothing happens. I can't really say a whole lot because it is the second book, but Alina is a sun summoner, and we find this out in the first book, and she is like, I guess it's like the chosen one trope, and so she doesn't know that she's this big sun summoner until something happens and this sun comes out of her, this light or whatever, one day. And so now she is trained to be a Grisha, but some things happen in the first book that prompts what happens in this book. This is why I can't really say anything. But let's just say there is another character in this one that I liked a whole lot more than Alina, which is Strumhond, I think is how you say his name, maybe. I'm not sure, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. He ends up being a different person towards the middle section of the book, and I just really, really like this character, and is probably the one reason why I did keep going with this, because I was kind of curious of what the development would be of that character, more than I cared about the main character. And I know a lot of people didn't like Mal. My friend said that she heard a lot of people didn't like Mal in this book, but I don't understand why. Yeah, he was a jerk. But a lot of that spun off the fact that Alina was being a nasty kind of person to him, and the choices she was making and the things that she was doing and everything, and not telling him things, which makes him feel like he was being left out. And yeah, so yeah, he was acting like a jerk, which I understood. So I don't like Alina. I liked Mal better. And then I also like this other character, but nothing happens in this book. It's 432 pages, and there's no action of any kind, really, until the last 30 pages of this book. So yeah, it was really boring, and I gave it 2 stars. But at least I made it through it. Won't be getting the 3rd one for a while. We've decided we needed a break, so we won't be reading the next one next month like we had planned. We actually thought we'd like this one a little bit more, but we decided to put that off for another month. So sometime during the latter part of the year, we might get back into that. But yeah, not looking forward to it anytime soon. So there's that one. And so then the next book I have is Evil Spy School by Stuart Gibbs. This is Spy School number 3. It's narrated by Gibson Fraser. And I like this. It's just a fun kind of spy spoof of sorts. It's not like anything awe-inspiring or wowing. It's just kind of a run-of-the-mill fun series about Ben, who in the first book, he is a patsy pretty much. They bring him in to this junior academy for spies because they want to kind of flush out a mole. They don't expect him to actually make it through spy school, really. I mean, he's just kind of a patsy. They're like, this guy's very smart in math, so we can say that he's really good at coding, and we'll put him through here and see what happens. Well, he kind of bumbles him through things, and he actually survives. So now he's in spy school because, well, what are you going to do with him? He already knows about spy school, so they keep him because, well, maybe he will actually make a good spy someday. And so he's still surviving. And in Evil Spy School, he is set up kind of, again, to kind of infiltrate the evil spider people. And he is expelled from spy school, and the spider picks him up, and they've been trying to recruit him since, like, either the end of the first book or in the second book. I mean, they've been trying to recruit him and everything, and so now he's actually in evil spy school of sorts and everything, and it was just fun. I feel sorry for poor Ben because they just don't give him enough credit. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he tries really hard, and he ends up always saving the day and helping out and everything. But it's just fun. And there is a character in it that is kind of a get smart type character who bumbles his way through a lot of things, and he's an adult spy, and yeah, it's just kind of crazy. But yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It's just fun. And then the next book I have is The Uninvited Corpse by Deborah Sennenfelder, and this is Food Blogger number 1. It was narrated by Callie Boyer, which is one of my favorite narrators. And I don't have a whole lot to say about this one because I really can't remember a lot about it. It's about Holly, who's a food blogger, and a real estate agent dies. Her sister is accused of murder because she is a real estate agent too, and they are rivals. And I think I didn't connect very well with the main character, and so I think my mind wandered a little bit in this book, and because we were talking about it on a book club day, and I couldn't remember the characters that they were talking about. I'm like, I don't remember these people. So I will try the next one and see if maybe I like it a little bit better, because sometimes I have to give cozies more than one book in a series to try it. And I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't like it was horrible. I just don't remember a whole lot about what happened. The next book I have is Toxic Toffee by Amanda Flowers, and this is the Amish Candy Shop book number 4. And I'm really liking this series. The narrator is Rebecca Mitchell, and this has Bailey. She's finishing up a TV show, her new TV show, and it's called Bailey's Amish Sweets. And now she's back home in Harvest, and it's Easter time, and the kind of busybody kind of lady who's over a lot of the events and everything, wants her to make a giant Toffee bunny. And so she's busy doing that. And then she discovers the body of this guy named Steven, who's an Amish man, and he was poisoned by a piece of toffee. And so she sets out to try to figure out what happened to him and everything. And it was really interesting. The only downside I have, and like pet peeve of this series, is Juliet, who is trying to push Aiden and Bailey together faster than they need to be put together. They haven't even been out on a first date, and she's already talking about how their wedding's going to be in a couple of months, and they're not even dated yet. So I mean, give them a little bit of time. And she's just one of those quirky characters, and sometimes she just makes me roll my eyes. It's just, enough is enough. Leave the poor couple alone. But other than that, I really enjoy it, and I give it 4 stars. The next book I have is The Betrayed by Heather Graham, and this is number 14 in the Crew of Hunters series, which is a paranormal romance series surrounding an FBI group that are paranormal investigators. They are an elite group because they all have the ability to see or speak to ghosts or things like that, anything to do with like the paranormal. And in this one we have FBI agent Aiden, and then this lady named Maureen, who goes by Mo, and she has a dog named Rolo, and they are like a search and rescue in this small little town. Like they use the dog to do that. And one of the reasons I really enjoyed this one is because it's in the historic town of Sleepy Hollow. And I just love it whenever spooky things and things like paranormal stuff are centered around Spooky Hollow. I just love that. It's just fun. And of course, this one's going to have deaths in it that involved beheadings and everything. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. What really makes this series fun for me, because I love to listen to it, is Luke Daniels, the narrator. He is so good. His voice, I could just listen to him all day long. And everything. And so yeah, I always try to listen to this series. So I'm a little bummed because the only one I can get on audio for the next book doesn't have Luke Daniels. It almost makes me want to read it instead of listen to it, but we'll see how it goes first. But yeah, I was kind of bummed about that. But yeah, I liked it. 4 stars. The next one I have is Bloom by Kenneth Opel, and I gave this one 4 stars. And this is about one day it comes a rain, and then the next day this weird grass, like black grass, starts growing, and it starts taking over everything. But it's not just like in this town, it's like the whole world. Like everywhere this happened. This rain happened and this growth happened, and it's like black grass and vines and pit plants that you step on it, it opens up and swallows you. Yeah, it's super creepy for a middle grade book and everything. And there's 3 main characters in this one, and they're 3 kids who find out that they have the same thing going on for them. 2 of them had really bad allergies, but all of a sudden it's like their allergies aren't the same, and everybody else is getting allergies from these new plants and the new stuff that's going on. It's putting out this like kind of almost like a sleeping gas type stuff in the pollen and things, but they don't seem to be affected by it and everything. And so they're found out, these scientists find out about them, this doctor, and she wants to try to work with them, try to take their blood to see, because I mean they're at a loss on what to do with this. I mean, it's killing people and all kinds of stuff is happening. It's definitely kind of like I don't know, maybe a middle grade dystopian where it's like taking over the planet, and they've got to try to figure out what's going on. And you find out that these 3 kids are different because of a certain thing, and it is a kind of a sci-fi horror type of book, and it was interesting. I found it interesting. There were a few things that were a little over the top. There was a few things that I thought, I kept thinking to myself, why is it just these 3 kids? Why aren't we not finding out about kids from other parts of the world? Why is it these 3 kids in this town? I thought that was just a little strange. I mean, even if they would have been in different towns, thought it might have been a little bit better, but it was just kind of strange. It was these 3 kids in this town that happened to be not allergic to any of the stuff that was going on. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It is, I believe, a trilogy, and so I will continue on with it at some point. This was a buddy read with Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books, and I think a group of hers that she had on Goodreads. There was a few of us that were reading it and everything, and yeah, it was enjoyable. And then the next book I have is Ain't Love a Witch by Dakota Cassidy, and this one is Witchless in Seattle, number 6. It's narrated by Holly Jackson, and I gave this one 4 stars. And this one is a little bit unique to the series because in the series we find out that Stevie, she has been witch slapped by this mean warlock, and she loses her powers. But she still has a little bit because she has the ability to see a ghost, or not see a ghost so much, but she can hear him. And his name is Crispin, and she calls him Winterbottom, and he's this British spy, and she's like the only one that can hear him, and they meet in the first one because of a murder, and it was somebody that he knew. And so in this one, we kind of get his perspective on things, so it's told from his point of view, which was a little different than, like, the other ones has always been told by Stevie's point of view. But in this one, we have the British spy guy, and he is telling about what is happening because somebody left a baby on Stevie's doorstep because they thought that Crispin was living in that house because it used to be Crispin's. Like I said, this is really a series that you should start from the beginning. You shouldn't just jump into it because I think you'd be a little confused and everything. And she's been living in his house, and so they think that he lives there, and the mother drops it off because she says that this baby is his, but Crispin, he's like, no, it's not my baby, even though Stevie's not really believing, but he's like, I know it's not my baby. But they have to try to figure out what happened to the mother, where she's at, why did she drop the baby off, and things like that. And so, yeah, I just thought it was kind of neat because it was told from his perspective and everything, but I gave this one 4 stars because I liked it. So the next book I have is The Root of All Evil by Ellery Adams, and this is a Hope Street Church mystery number 4, and this is narrated by Chris Ducart, and she's a very enjoyable narrator as well. And this is about Cooper Lee, who she can never be happier. She has a terrific Bible study, a great boyfriend, and all of that, and she's going to be having a new niece or nephew soon. But everything is kind of dampered on because there's somebody is breaking into the churches around town and everything, and then one of these church break-ins leads to a murder, and so she has to try to figure out what happened. And of course, her group of friends and things that she has is trying to help to some of the Bible study guys and gals, and I enjoyed it. It's probably not one of my favorite Ellery Adams series, but it's still a pretty enjoyable series, and I like it. I have one more to go, and I will have this one finished, and so I'm excited about that because that is something I'm seriously trying to work with, is trying to catch up on all these cozy mystery series that I have going, but I never finish. So, almost done. Then the next one I have is Inherit the Wool by Betty Hickman, and I gave this one 4 stars, and this is Yarn Retreat, but it's the Yarn Retreat series number 6, I believe. And in this one it's a little bit different, and so it's probably not my favorite one in the series, but this one has where Casey has invited a group of her friends from college. She was in some kind of a weird sport of some sort that involved a ball of some sort. I can't remember, they called them ball arenas or something. I mean, it was something weird. But anyway, she's invited them to come to Cadbury by the Sea to the resort to do a yarn retreat and everything. She thought it would be kind of fun, but then she's worried that they're not going to like anything and they might be a little bit too uppity for that kind of stuff. But then one of them ends up murdered, and so of course then Casey has to figure out what's going on and everything. I think the reason why this is not one of my favorites in the series is because it doesn't have the regular cast of characters. Because usually with each retreat you have these ones that are go to each of the retreats. So you have Olivia and Bree and Scott and just a group that are always there. Plus, then you have the new ones that are come to the retreat. And in this one, you don't get any of those. You have her friends, and that's it. That's in there. Plus, you have some of the main characters there, but I mean, you just don't have that same cast of characters that you're used to. And so I think that's why this one wasn't really one of my favorites, but it was still enjoyable, and I did like it. And I think I forgot to mention the narrator on this one, but the narrator is Margaret Strong. I'm trying to remember to tell you who the narrators are on these, since there are a lot of the audiobooks, but I always forget. So the next one I have is Weird Kid by Greg Van Eekhout. I think that's how you say his last name. Probably butchering it. Anyway, this one is about Jake, who is an alien from another planet, and he is trying to figure out just how to maneuver living on Earth. He's 12 years old. Whenever he came to the planet, he was a big pile of goo. And his parents, or whatever, who found him, they thought they were going to find like this big crater because they saw some fall from the sky. And when they got there, they found this pile of goo. But when the man touched it, it turned into a baby. So that was how Jake came to be. And he is 12 years old now, and they've been raising him, and they've been kind of sheltering him because they don't want nobody to find out, because he shapeshifts, and sometimes he can't quite control what happens to him and everything. But he wants to go to middle school, and he doesn't want to be homeschooled, and so they're letting him go to middle school, and it's just him trying to figure things out. He meets a girl named Agnes, who is very science-minded and everything, and they kind of have this mystery of the sinkholes around what's happening with these sinkholes, because there's some goo coming out of them that looks a lot like the goo that Jake he notices, and so they're trying to figure out exactly what's happening. There's a laboratory and all these kind of things, so it's kind of a light sci-fi mystery type of book for middle graders, and it's also a book about accepting who you are and not trying to be somebody that you're not. Just remember that be who you are, and your friends will always be there for you, kind of a thing. And it was just really cute, and I gave it 4 stars. Then the last book that I have is Lineage Most Lethal by S.C. Perkins, and this is the Ancestry Detective Mystery number 2, and it's narrated by Madeline. I don't know if it's maybe or Mobby, but I'm probably butchering that. But anyway, it's a pretty good narrator. I don't know her. I think this is the first time I've ever listened to her. I mean, her name doesn't sound familiar, but she did pretty good. And this one is, it's a week before New Year's Eve, and genealogist Lucy Lancaster is mixing work and playtime by going to this quaint little boutique called Sutton Hotel in Austin, Texas. She is helping Pippa find her ancestry and everything. But while she's there, a stranger stumbles into her and kind of gives her a pen, and he's really bad off, like something is happening to him. And the last thing he says before he dies is help them, or something like that. Don't let them find them, or something. Can't remember exactly what it is, but it was something kind of ominous and everything. And then she locates the pen because it gets dropped, and then after the police and everything have come, she finds the pen and everything, and it's a fancy like fountain pen, and her grandfather is a collector of that kind of stuff, and he knows about a lot of antiques, and she shows it to him over FaceTime, and he gets really quiet and kind of strange. And before you know it, Grandpa has showed up at the hotel where she's at. And so, evidently, we get to find out that her grandfather used to work in intelligence during World War II, and he noticed the pen, the crest or whatever it was on the pen, and it has something to do with an operation type thing that they had done back in World War II, and there was a traitor and some things and everything, and the guy that died was the ancestor, or one of them. I don't know. I can't remember if he was one of them or an ancestor of one of them. But anyway, he knew who he was, and so they get wrapped up in kind of like this like clandestine type thing, because somebody is killing off the ancestors to these people that are on this list. The list is on a like microdot, and you had to have this special thing, but then you had to have this special book because it's got a book cipher. And I mean, it's just all kinds of interesting stuff going on. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It's a little different, I think, than normal cozies and everything, but it was still very enjoyable. And I had a lot of fun trying to figure out who it was, and I didn't figure it out. It led me astray. I really thought it was going to be this one person, and it wasn't. So I really enjoyed it. And so that is the 11 books that I managed to get through this week. I had a very good reading week, despite DNFing one and having a 2-star. I mean, most everything else was 3 and 4 stars, so I count that as a win. And if you've read any of these books, let me know what you think about it. If you read the Final Girls book, the Final Girl Support Group, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Am I missing anything by not continuing on with it? I mean, if you really think I will benefit from continuing, I will give it a try. But as of right now, it's off the table. Got way more books to read than worry about that. But yeah, I'd like to know, leave a comment if you've read any of these or if any of these sound interesting to you. So yeah, that's everything I have for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!